So give yourself a black hand. Because it's 2 days before Christmas, and all of us out here are supposed to be shopping for toys and stuff like that right now. Okay. Brother Valentine is going to be dealing with the Tetragrammaton, the hyper-dimensional language of God. This is going to be a raw and uncut lecture. Give him a black hand.
Thank you very much, and I want to give thanks to brothers at Grassroots for inviting me here, for having the courage to maintain vigil, the kind of vigil that is uncompromising, unyielding, and asks no quarter, gives none, stays true, and undiluted. I have been traveling, and I've been very busy. I just came from doing 3 lectures in a row, and it began to tell on me. But when I began to energize for the Tetragrammaton, it was almost like in my space. The Tetragrammaton, to let everybody understand and understand, is very it's very complicated. I'm not sure anybody out there understand or know what the Tetragrammaton is, or have had any familiarity with the Tetragrammaton. No one? You all took it upon yourselves to trust me, to come out here, to vibe on something you all have no idea of? I wish I could just go out there and give y'all a big group hug. Y'all all right by me? No, that's INRI. That's a whole other kind of thing, which will probably be in Tetragrammaton too. See, that's when you start getting deep. Then you begin finding out who Jesus really was. But the Tetragrammaton it's deep. It's deep. It was deep for me because I didn't know a damn thing about no Hebrew. But I did have to study Hebrew from another perspective, because when I hear Hebrew, I used to think in my earlier years it had to do with Jews first. But then as I grew up, I began to know more and more about the fact that any of the ancient languages that were able to be used to mask higher spiritual properties couldn't have belonged to anybody like them. So I began to investigate, and the pearls that were just coming out, the fact that you are talking this English language and you're here in the West, everything that we're dealing with is based upon geometria and the Tetragrammaton here in the West. And the reason why they would lock up a man like Yahweh ben Yahweh and people who are in the Hebrew Israelite community who are dealing from those perspectives is because when you begin to understand who the Hebrews were and what the Hebrews had as their language and what the language meant, you begin to see that inside of that language was hidden 3 and 4 levels of information dealing with the decoding of life. That you begin to know why it is that they want to hurry up and not let you study Hebrew. They will do everything they can to stop you from studying Hebrew. They'll give you a second language like Spanish, or they give you a second language like French, which ain't had nothing to do with brothers who are from Puerto Ricano, from anywhere on the island speaking Spanish. That ain't your damn language. Y'all just turned it into yours and made it sound better. Gave it a little life like any people of color do to the language of their oppressors. So I began digging into what was happening to all the information I was coming up on when it had to do with metaphysics. So for you to be here to deal with Tetragrammaton means that you all are going to be working a part of your brain that you're going to need to wake up. It's going to start hurting your brain.
So, is there a relationship with the Greek language also where certain things can work with both languages?
Well, yeah, we can get to the Greek, but the Greek was translated out of the Hebrew. So we want to go further back, and when we begin to touch back a little bit further, we'll begin to speak on the meta-nature. And that's a whole other light programming. Remember, language is a light programming. And when you speak a certain language, it means that you are qualifying and synthesizing a certain code of life. Which means the English language is down there on the spectrum where you damn near blind. Because all of the encoded information is in the ancient languages. You can hear some of those ancient languages that is from a Hebraic base in what you call the Native American languages. They themselves speak an offshoot of the Hebraic language, and when you hear them speak Hebrew, like the Navajo or the brothers Ashkenazi and all the rest, they sound like they speak in Hebrew. So encoded in a lot of the light languages and all of their derivatives are some of the magical tones and qualities of sound that your great early ancestors encoded through their picking up light frequency, sound frequency codes that they were inspired to speak as sound, which then became a language. So it's going to be difficult to unravel this code, because the idea is that when we are together, we are about breaking codes. That's what Bobby, Brother Dawood, and those brothers and sisters, I kind of lump together and call them code breakers. Because what we want to do is to excite in you the ability to see inside of the language that the beast uses and deal with the subtext and the meanings behind everything, so you can decode all the bullshit that's out there. And you can tell what's real, what's not real, how how a lie changes the value of your facial expressions. I don't care how good you are. And if you're sensitive enough, you'll know what it is that that lie is doing to the molecular structure and to the cellular structure of the face, so that you can read right away whether that person's telling the truth or not. But you got to be able to come sensitive enough, you got to clean the body enough, you got to have the body on a level where the frequencies are just off the chart, off the Richter scale. When people come in your presence, if they ain't right, they get sick. They got to step off. It's like a cross to a vampire. So the Tetragrammaton in this phase is going to be the baby steps, because I intend to do a part 2. And I expect you all to go home and get your homework done. Look at the tape, back it up, do whatever you have to do, study it, and then be ready for part 2, because that's when we start going into 2nd and 3rd gear on the light shift. So the first thing I want to do is to participate and bring you all. Brother has something on the Tetragrammaton in the back. So if you all are interested, he has some information dealing with the Tetragrammaton in the back. Thank you, brother. Now, as you know, what we do here is we participate. And then we participate with each other. It ain't like you there and me here. All I am is your alter ego. I am you externalized. You looking in a mirror. You're coming to hear what you already know. You just forgot. You see, everything that I am digging up for, I'm like one of the people walking along the beach with one of them things that you're looking for metal. Everybody having a good time on the beach, I'm walking along looking for shit in the sand. I'm like you, curious, inquisitive, I want to find out things. But then I began to study the truth. I began studying the truth. and it wasn't shit. Ain't nothing to the truth. There is no such thing. Everybody that you hear talking about seeking the truth is seeking an illusion. Now, why do I say that? Because again, you speak this dumbed down language and you know not what you pronounce. And because you speak the dumbed down language, you incorporate it into the quality of an energy that does not describe it. So when you try to speak this language and use the magic that might be there, you cannot extract from the quality of the thought that is expressed by the language what that thought, the value and the strength of what that thought was supposed to be. Because you're not speaking your language. What's back here is not coming out here. So whatever it is that you are thinking is gods and goddesses cannot manifest because the way you are forming what this means is coming out here wrong. So the circuitry is wrong. The way you form your words are wrong. The language and the way you intone them, everything is wrong. So there's a difference. You've been speaking truth all along. And look where you at. We ain't no further running after truth than we've been running after a lie. Why? Well, this is why I need young brothers and sisters in the audience who have better eyes than me to come up here. Yes, sir. Come around here, watch the wiring. Now, I want you to read the definition out loud of reality.
A quality or state of being real things and events, something that is neither derivative nor dependent but exists necessarily.
Say that again. Say, B.
Something that is neither derivative nor dependent but exists necessarily.
Okay, thank you very much. Give the boy a hand. My brother, come up here for a minute. Now, let us read the definition of truth. Because all y'all came here looking for truth. Read the definition of truth.
Truth. More at truth is, all. That's a lot. Okay, truth. Faithful. More at truth. The state of being the case. Facts. The body of real things, events, the facts. Actuality. Often cap. A transcendence, fundamental or spiritual reality, judgment, proposition or ideal that is truth or accepted as truth.
Hold it. Read that again.
A transcendent, fundamental or spiritual reality, a judgment, proposition or idea that is true or accepted as truth.
Thank you very much. Give that boy a hand now. The difference between reality and the truth is that reality is non-derivative. Reality has no second or third component trying to explain itself. It is and can be nothing else. But when you start putting truth into the equation, you start dealing with derivatives of reality. And those derivatives become adulterated based upon who the hell it is deriving it. So you've been sitting there dealing with derived reality. And these derived realities has become your reality and your truth. So when you say to me that Jesus is the answer, where did you derive that reality from? Who told you that? Because I see bumper stickers that said Jesus is the truth. Whose truth? What truth? Which truth? So when you begin to see where you are on the path that you are seeking to manifest yourself upon, check to see whether or not you are on the reality tip or whether or not you're following the truth. Because if you're seeking truth, I'll see you later. You're going to be going through so many detours, so many back routes, so many side roads and shit. You ain't going to know where the hell you are. When you seek reality, the truth blossoms from within that. You don't have to get into a second and third part of your brain to try to see whether or not reality is. It will continue to prove itself each and every time. A truth, you got to do a whole lot of damn explanation. And you can see them people up there, what do you call them people, the ministers on TV. They got 12,000 ministers telling you 12,000 different versions of what the Bible means. And they tell you find the truth in here. You damn right. I would agree with Reverend Becker. You found the truth in that? Yes, you did. Well, I'm happy for you. I have no arguments. But when you start telling me that shit is real, me and you go. So what we're going to speak about now is Tetragrammaton. And the first thing you would feel as brothers and sisters is that somehow this language is not yours. So it's hard for you to identify with. Every time you see these caricatures and these languages, you think of a Jew. And you think, well, damn, that's them. They talking shit, that's their shit. No, ain't nothing spiritual ever came out of Europe.
Say it again.
Ain't nothing spiritual ever came out of Europe. So if you're thinking that this is somehow theirs and they claim it all the time and they get real comfortable with the shit they steal like it's their own, don't worry about that. Just like you could look at the Christian minister after all of what we have found out about them and feel comfortable in knowing where that was pimped from, you can feel just as comfortable that this was also pimped. Just to backtrack, and I know you're going to ask me to clarify things. Your boy, the new boy Bush. First of all, his daddy don't like him. So he may be used as the sacrificial lamb. Get ready for some heavy shit happening. And don't think about Messy Jesse. He's an agent provocateur. He makes you believe that there's a two-party system. So you know he's working for them. Ain't no two-party system. We in the red, some $6 trillion. And they're getting ready to come back with the IRS. And the IRS is going to be a whole new, retooled, restructured, everything. They're coming back with new agents, new guns, new hardware, new everything. New tracking systems. And they're going to destroy all the small businesses. And all small businesses, we're going to notice now that all small businesses are going to be bought out by the big ones. The consolidation for the New World Order is coming into play. And at the end of this program, I'm going to let you know what the Wizard of Oz really means.
Where's the red road go?
Excuse me?
Where's the red brick road go? There's the red brick road and
Well, you're going to find out where the yellow brick road goes. Yes, brother.
Junior, is he a clone? Something about his posture.
Yeah, there's something wrong with him.
Something about his whole
Yeah.
demeanor.
Yeah,
Something ain't right with him up here.
Well, he ain't right.
Like somebody pushing him.
Well, yeah, little bush. Yeah, little bramble bush. Yeah, but
I heard that somebody saw him one day without his shirt on.
yeah, I know you don't have a belly button.
See, I
Well, let me just say this. Y'all I like the fact that y'all are crowd way ahead of your time. Y'all be jumping in anytime. Go ahead. No, I'm saying, problem is that he's going to be the sacrificial lamb. They really want Jeb because that's daddy's heart. Jeb Bush is actually a serious he's a serious Illuminatus. He's his father's own child. He's the thief, he's the bastard. This boy is like the outcast. He's the guy with, with Down syndrome. And,
He killed a lot of people in Texas.
well, yeah, because his papa said so. The other thing is that I'll be getting more information about what's getting ready to jump off, but know that his wife also is a man, if you know what I mean. Her and Hillary Clinton is the same, the same cloth. And so what I'm going to tell you is that this is going to be for next lecture, but I know somebody asked me if I would say a couple of things about that. Be ready by spring. You're going to see a whole lot of upheavals in the country. Jesse's going to be leading a whole lot of shit. You're going to be seeing a lot of divisiveness inside of the government now. Polarization, angry shit happening back and forth, cutting of services. Your clone wants to cut taxes. Papa Bush don't want to. There's a whole lot of things that's getting ready to seed that I'm going to get some more information on for you. And that'll be probably in the beginning of Tetragrammaton 2. So I just wanted to drop some of that on you.
What do you know about the National Security Advisor, the woman?
Yeah, the female. What's her name? Condoleezza Boulay. Cole Boulay. Yes.
Last thing,
Yeah.
as an investor in the New York Stock Exchange,
Don't. Because they're gonna crash it. They gotta take the monies that's concentrated in the hands of the few and crash it to the point where nothing's gonna be worth anything. Like in Germany, you had to pay $1,000 for a banana. But they had to get the money out of the few because the few got so much money that the actual problems with the recession that's getting ready to happen is because there's no allocation of a lot of the monies amongst the people. And you're going to see a whole lot of spending because it's an accumulation of wealth before they crash it. So, like I said, you all were telling me that I was kind of, not you all, but some people in the South were telling me that I miscalculated in the new millennium. I kept telling them that wasn't the new millennium. This is the new millennium. And get ready. So, where were we? We're back at Tetragrammaton. Now, the preliminaries to Tetragrammaton is like you going to baby school, and I'm going to be doing a lot of facts that I've laid down or I've had to interpret and make simple so that when you get the tape, you can do the studies on the Tetragrammaton. These tapes that I make are for studying. They are not for just entertainment value. They are essentially to attain, to help draw out what you are and who you are and what you already know. So in the beginning, they speak about in John, which essentially John and we're going to be using this Bible, or the Bible, because the Bible is a masked Geometria Tetragrammaton Temura book. And this book has incredible jewels that were interpreted and interpolated and twisted by the scribes at the time to hide facts because they knew that this was getting ready to go public. And the information in the old books was so seriously open to just a few because it was a death sentence to have this book at one time.
right.
And so what happened was they had to put out, after they put out the Vulgate, they had to reinterpret through Shakespeare a common Bible that was so mixed up that the people could not, even in their wildest dreams, interpret and decode what was going on. But they left so much other stuff that, especially the book of Revelation. The book of Revelation wasn't added to. There was only 65 books. The 66th book was added only in the 19th century. So the book of Revelations came about, or was added to the Bible, only in the 19th century. And when they added that, they thought it was so masked and convoluted that nobody would know what was happening. But it became evident that if you studied the ancient Hindu texts,
you would know exactly what this was about. The whole of the book of Revelations is a book on the initiation process for Kundalini Yoga. And all of the terror and all of that, Armageddon raining down and all this shit, that's part of what the Illuminati at the time began to put into the information as a timetable for their own shit. But what they interpolated it with was information that they did not even have a clue that you were going to decode. But when Apollonius of Tyana wrote this text, it was the original name of this text was the initiation of anointed Iesus. That was the original name for the book of Revelations. The initiation of anointed Iesus. I-E-O-S-O-U-S. And if you get the tapes, I did a tape on the apocalypse. And brother has the tape on the apocalypse, which is a smaller view of breaking down part of the book of Revelations as the book of the anointing of Iesus, which then became Jesus. Greek, the Iesus is the Greek, which then became the Jesus factor. But I will be asking some people to come in and read as cross-references. I have copious amounts of information because normally I over-prepare. And as such, I'm ready to do like a 5 and 6 hour hookup. But please follow with me. The book of John is the book of Genesis interpolated. This whole Bible is cross-referencing information from one book to the other. The book of John begins, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. No other place do you see anything stating about in the beginning of anything except Genesis. So when you look at the words in the beginning, broken down Kabbalistically, it's the same as in the beginning for Genesis. And we will get into how to calculate the numerical value of the words. Once you translate the English back to the Hebrew and then put the mathematical numbers to the Hebrew, you will then be able to interpret and decode what the value of in the beginning meant in Genesis, and then break down the number code to find out what Genesis really said. Because the story of Genesis is a convoluted, esoteric work on what really happened to the manifestation of man. Now, the word JHVH is encoded within every biochemical as well as psychological, numerical, and geometrical function in the universe, especially in the human body and its DNA and RNA matrix. If one truly understands the frequency codes and the mathematical matrix of the hidden word, one could predict all possible angles that human thought, words, and behavior could take. Now you understand why it is that they stay in power. Because with certain pieces of information that you're getting here at these little gatherings, these people are doing rituals and specific mathematical and astrological calculations as to how these words, which if you understand how the words are formed, you would see that every one of the Hebraic words are up in the sky as a specific star configuration. Every one of the 22 letters in the alphabet of the Hebrew can be found as a small star constellation in the sky. And they are patterned directly after a specific constellation. So whenever these constellations have their influences, the word of God is spoken based upon the geometrics that this particular language represents. And they can then qualify what human nature, human thought, human speech, human behavior will take. What courses these aspects will take as you are doing your day-to-day work. And what they have to do in order to either instigate the opposite or to stop whatever spiritual energy those particular hieroglyphics in the sky are supposed to manifest in you. So these people ain't bullshitting. The days of when you saying, "Oh, the white man don't know shit." He studied for 2,000 goddamn years. You gotta learn something in that time. You gotta learn something in that time. Nobody's that goddamn dumb. So you cannot underestimate your adversary anymore. You have to see what it is that he got when we were defeated. What he took, brothers and sisters, the more you begin to evaluate the depth of information that this beast keeps coming out. You notice every time somebody comes out with some new shit, where they getting it from? Who's decoding the shit for them? You know they're in there. They are pouring over your shit. They are in Chem right now. They're at the bottom of the sea in the Bahamas right now. They are up on Mars right now, trying to decode your shit before you catch up. And I just did a thing on extraterrestrial civilizations and the archaeological proof down in Atlanta. Hopefully I'll have that video by that time. It shows unequivocal proof that you brothers and sisters were the originators of flight. Because there was a book called the Shastra Vimana that was written thousands of years ago that had the whole principle of aerodynamics and how you have to be, what you have to do to be initiated to become a pilot. And they found in 1800s a specific model that looks just like a jet. In 1850, they found this in Chem, and it's right now in Cairo. So there is nothing new. You have to go back to go forward. You have to go back to go forward. Again, if one truly understands the frequency codes and the mathematical matrix of this hidden word, one could predict all possible angles that human thought, words, and behavior would take. You could map and control the course of human evolution, predict the numerical frequencies and their alignments to astrological and earth grid frequencies, and know just how people will behave from month to month, year to year, as well as millennium to millennium. The Tetragrammaton, the word of 4 letters, or the squared name, or simply the square. The Tetragrammaton symbolizes the body of man. It symbolizes the body of man. This particular symbol right here, just let me also tell you about the Hebrew language. Because again, you're going to see me stopping and going back so that you can have a better idea of what I'm talking about. I don't care what it is that a lot of the brothers and sisters in the Hebrew context are teaching you. If they are not teaching you that the language that you call Hebrew is based upon light frequencies that can be seen dancing in the flame, or that the fire languages spoken of the flame or the tongues of fire. See, this language came about from your ancestors during times when they were possessed by higher frequency wave patterns. And what happened was their aura would then take on different design structures. And those who were in the frequency would pick up on those divine structures and put them down as a clip. Certain tones would change the quality and value of the aura in your face or over your head. And those tones would have certain matrices, certain designs that would be of the same patterns from where that person who was vibrating that particular sound was picking up the light code transmissions from that particular star configuration that was manifesting as a form on his head. So the masters would look and see what energies would come from what tones, what designs were manifested from the sound. You can see that in a tuning fork. You can take a thin layer of milk sugar and put it on some glass, and then tap a tuning fork and put it up underneath, and immediately the vibration from the tuning fork will create a design in the milk sugar. A design that is specific to the frequencies of the tuning fork. And that's exactly how your ancestors spoke to the higher qualities of God. By intoning higher frequencies, patterns would be created by the sounds. So, anybody familiar with something called or anybody familiar with that? Yeah. Okay. The Meta Nature was the divine language spoken through pictographs. This language was based on your ancestors' ability at telepathy.